All right. Hello and welcome to the March 1st, 2022 occurrence of the Brigade Community Meeting. I'm going to share my screen if you'll give me a moment. And there we go. Can everybody see that, and is it big enough to read?
Looks good.
All right, and it looks like Vaughn has already volunteered to take notes. So thank you, Vaughn. There's not too much to cover today. Lots of good news though. So the first thing is the release of Brigade 231. I have a pending blog post about this, so I just need actually any of Karen, Vaughn, or Bridget to review. I think you all have the power to approve that. The important thing about 231, this I've never been so excited about a patch release before. It installs faster and much more smoothly than any previous version. The cliff notes on why that is. It's because our API server depends on a database and a messaging server, ActiveMQ. And what used to happen was the API server would come up a lot faster than the database and the queue. So it would try to connect and it would fail. It would crash, but we don't care because Kubernetes restarts things, right? Well, while the API server is going into a crash loop backoff, we have two other microservices, the scheduler and the observer, waiting on the API server to be available. So it too is going into, or they too are going into a crash loop backoff. And you just end up with this rat's nest of progressive backoffs, and it can unfortunately take several minutes for all the flapping to stop and for things to stabilize. So what we've done in 231 is we have each of the individual components block internally for a longer period of time, waiting for their network bound dependencies. So we are slower to crash, and therefore we avoid crash loops, and everything just comes up, the whole system as a whole comes up much faster with no flapping. So we're pretty excited about that. Hopefully the faster and smoother installation time makes it a little bit easier for new brigadiers to get started. So pretty exciting. Status update on Brigade in 5 minutes. I've been meaning for a while to film the third episode, the topic of which will be authorization. It hasn't gotten done because for various reasons, my children have been around a lot lately, and it is very hard to film something with the children around. Today is the first day I've really had the house to myself and quiet, and I'm not going to get to it today, but I'm hoping that tomorrow is a good day for that. The cron event source, we cut an RC of it. I think that's going to go GA by the end of the week. The RC has already been out there for at least a week. So that should be GA by the end of the week. We have the Brigade dashboard, formerly Kashti TNG. It's really just an early prototype at the moment, but it had been living in my own GitHub account. It has now moved over to the Brigade Core org, and we have all of the usual automation and branch protections and all of that fun stuff set up. So now we're in a good place to start getting contributions from the community if anybody wants to work on that. And unlike most of our other components, that's all front end stuff. It's TypeScript, it's React, things that the maintainers don't have a lot of bench strength with at the moment. At least I don't. I know enough to be dangerous with React. So it's in a good place now to start getting contributions from anybody else who might be interested. Quick update on documentation. We had a few people volunteer to work on Portuguese translation of the docs. We also had somebody step forward and volunteer to do a Hindi translation of the docs. So what I have done, and I did this unilaterally, and I apologize, and I will beg forgiveness from fellow maintainers if this was a bad thing to do. But I created separate repos for each translation, and I did make the people who volunteered to work on those the maintainers of just those repos. So they don't have the right bit anywhere else. They only have the right bit on those specific repos. I also have a PR open that shows how we would, it's a draft at the moment, but it shows how we would integrate those translations into our docs site. And basically what it is we would consume them as Git submodules. So it all works very nicely, but we'll wait until the content is ready before we actually merge that PR. Last and certainly not least, we had proposed 3 projects for the Google Summer of Code. And we've had quite a few people already come forward and say that they would like to work on those projects. I don't think that's how it works. I think there's a formal application process, and I keep trying to remind people of that. So I've gone back and added to the relevant issues, big bold banner with a warning, icon that says, please don't work on this until you are formally paired with us through GSOC 22. But the nice thing is there are people who want to work on this with us. So very excited about that. That's all that was on the agenda for today. So we'll open it up to the floor if anybody has anything that they want to say or ask about. And it's also a good time to mention that everybody is welcome to edit the agenda. If you ever have anything you want to talk about, feel free to pop into that document and add it in advance so that it doesn't get overlooked.
So I'm wondering, do you, and I will apologize and say I have not read the guidelines yet, but I'm wondering, do we have specifics to help people understand how much they need to translate before we can start getting at least some translations live on the website?
We do not. We do not at the moment. So this is
we should pick an MVP, because if it sounds like you have to translate absolutely all the everythings, that might be intimidating. Whereas like if the MVP is this page and this page, then hey, somebody could get started.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. So I will reach out to people who have volunteered for that, and make sure that they know, for instance, hey, why don't you start with the quick start and the design document or something like that, because that would really get most people over the hump, so to speak. So if they start with those high value docs, it would be great to have those sooner rather than later. We don't have to wait for everything to be translated to get those high value ones. So that's a great idea, Bridget. Thank you. Also, interestingly, Carolyn asked me what my plan was for how we might keep those translations up to date as the English language docs change. And my answer to that was, well, we'll use Brigade. So what I intend to do is we will listen for merges of pull requests that touched the English documentation. And when we detect those, we will open a new issue for each translations repository, linking back to the original English change and asking, hey, please make the equivalent change in language X.
Awesome. I have one other quick question, point of order of something we talked about some meetings ago. I see that the Brigade project has gone through and changed the default branch to main on almost every repo, which is super exciting. And I'm wondering if we have a plan for Brigade tutorial app and Brigade tutorial config, either a roadmap plan to get them moved over to use a main branch or to archive them and replace them if necessary.
Those will be archived eventually. Those have to do with Brigade V1. And Brigade V1 makes some assumptions about the name of your primary branch. So being that they are meant to be used with Brigade V1, I don't think that we can change those. But when the support window for V1 ends, I believe those repositories will be archived.
Super. And do you think it's also valuable to put something in the README for those that says they're for Brigade V1? I'm just imagining if we have new people onboarding to the project, if they click around in the repos and they're like, oh, this was updated 18 days ago. And then they're like, what's happening?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We are in a weird spot right now where a lot of stuff that was applicable only to V1 has not been archived yet. So yeah, it probably is worth ripping through and adding some kind of notification. Bridget, you always have the best ideas.
I mean, I'm looking to hear from some of the new members on the call as well, who haven't, at least I haven't seen on as many calls. I'd love to hear about, Felipe, Pritesh, what are you thinking? What are you going to jump into next?
Are you referring to me? Sorry. Oh, okay. Hello, folks. Myself, Pritesh. I'm a junior year student from India, pursuing like bachelor's now. And since a couple of days, I've been exploring Brigade, and the Brigade dashboard actually caught my attention because I've been building stuff with React and TypeScript since 1.5 years or so. So that actually the dashboard next if there are some available issues. And also I was going through the documentation, and basically I'm like exploring all the new tools in the cloud native community. So before Brigade, I was exploring Argo project to automate the stuff, and that was pretty interesting. And I came across Brigade, so I'm thinking of trying this out next.
Excellent. Glad to have you on board.
Yeah, happily the Brigade project has tagged some good first issues. So I've dropped a link in the chat. We can take a look and see which ones are fun to jump into right away.
Yes, and I'll be adding a lot more of those in the coming days. Backlog grooming is a thing that I'm going to be focusing on later today and tomorrow. So there will be a lot more of those good first issues coming.
Thank you so much.
Should we give intros? Okay, I'll go. I'm Karen. I am the community manager for Brigade. I also work with Ken at Microsoft, and I'm a PM. So if there's anything that's community related, things that touch I guess our social media, events, swag, stickers, if you want stickers, let me know. Things like that, I would be the person you can reach out to. And I am based in San Francisco.
And hey, if anybody wants to make some big contributions, Karen can do better than stickers too. She's got some really cool swag.
That's awesome. I don't have any cool swag, and I'm not based in San Francisco. I'm based in Minnesota. We have a lot of snow. I could send you some snow. There's lots of it. It's very cold. It might melt. I don't know. And I'm also a PM on the same team as Karen. And every once in a while, I make it to this call. My goal is always to give Kent a list of extra things to do, because why not?
I appreciate it. Her ideas are always great. So
I can quickly introduce myself. My name is Vaughn, located in Boulder, Colorado. I'm another maintainer on most of the Brigade core code bases. I definitely try and pitch in for PR reviews, docs reviews, things like that. I'm not coding as actively in the code base as Kent is, but I'm around.
that's cool. I couldn't get anything done without your eyes double checking me. So all right. Well, I don't know that we have anything else to cover. So we all get a little bit of time back. And oh, Karen?
I was gonna ask, like with Felipe and Pratish, are you like, because were they here last week? I just wanted to make sure that they know that the meetings are offset and that like the other ones.
Oh yeah, that's Philippe, I think you were here last week. Yeah. It was at a different time last week. What we're doing is we have people interested in a lot of different time zones. So we're kind of flip-flopping the meetings where one occurrence will be at 11 a.m. Pacific and the next will be at 1 p.m. Pacific, and they switch back and forth. So today's was 11 a.m. Pacific. The next one will be 1 p.m. Pacific, and we get different faces showing up at the two. In fact, the last one was our best attended one yet, and that was the later one. It was a little harder for US people to make it to that one, but I think we had some Brazil folks, some Australian folks. So yeah, maybe eventually we'll figure out one time that works for everybody, but we haven't yet.
Like right now it's 11 p.m. PST is 12:30 a.m. IST. So I don't think I'll be able to make it on 1 p.m. PST, but if I'm working on something, I'll be able to update it on Slack.
Yeah, we're on Slack all day, every day, even if we're quiet. So yeah, reach out if you need us. We're always there.
Oh, actually, I'm like pretty active in Kubernetes Slack because like I've been open sourcing at Kubernetes since the past 6 months, maybe. So I did a couple of code contributions, but right now I'm with SIG Contribix, which actually does work for the contributor experience to improve the contributor experience, as well as I'm also on YouTube admin for Kubernetes YouTube channel. So I manage this stuff. So yeah, I'll be available on Slack anytime.
Awesome. Okay, anything else? All right, well, everyone have a wonderful day, and this recording will be posted on our YouTube channel once I'm able to download it. All right, see you all on the internet.
Thanks. Bye.